Land fraud and property fraud is a known crime that has been a part of separating people from their property, or raising the prices beyond the capability of the buyer or the renter or the person that is going to move there, which also causes people to be either conned or swindled by those that are that bought the house out from under them, or to use that as a leverage to rip off what is considered the person themselves. And and greedy investors are people that cannot that are not willing to live in the house or the apartment or vice versa, but they are what's known as greedy investors. And those types of people are responsible for that. And they are also responsible for the housing market being raised and to all sorts of high heaven and so forth. And this has been what's considered happening in California. And what it is what you need to do is you need to report these people to the proper authorities and to report them to your local government. And to bring this so forth, and to also bring this to Whistleblower and so forth, and to put an end to these fraudsters or charlatans that are buying up property at an alarming rate, and then trying to charge the people a high rent. This type of behavior can also lead to the people either moving out of state or relocating to other counties or cities or vice versa. And this can also screw up the population and cause population depletion, and also that. And this is also called a crime called property fraud and property embezzlement, which is a very, very well-known crime throughout the ages. And it continued to progress because you get one of these scam artists who you are not interested in banging on your door. And they're just con artists, and those types of investors are just generally dressed up con artists looking for a fast buck or an easy buck. And the best thing to do is to find all of the papers that were considered, turn them into a whistleblower, and blow the whistle on these jerks once and for all, and to put them in a nice prison somewhere where they will never be able to do their black magic or any of their type of black magic arts on anybody ever again. And the best thing to do is to get them removed from office, or removed from the type of position that they have considered. This is also called property fraud, and property fraud is a considered crime throughout many, many centuries, and these guys had figured out a surefire plan to do that. But after a while, it becomes well known that lies that are swept under a carpet will not be able to be subjected or considered. If you lie to somebody, you're generally telling somebody an untruth. And these people know it, and they will continue to not follow the rules and directives that are considered. And hopefully, this will probably be brought to a grand jury or a court or vice versa, or brought to television or any other type of media network that it may reach. because sooner or later people are going to get ticked off about it, and they're going to start filing complaints as well when they are forced out of the market, or vice versa, by some unscrupulous, greedy investor that is an all-out phony that has defrauded the general public and ripped off dozens of people. And sooner or later this will all add up to fraud, plain and simple. And fraud is a big word concerning property and land and apartments and housing and so forth. And this type of fraud has also impacted our housing authorities. It's also impacted Section 8. It's also impacted people. It's priced people out of housing. It's caused people to move out of the state. It's caused people to relocate altogether because they're sick and tired of it, and so forth. So it's all added up to what the general public is going to do next, and the general public is going to get sick and tired of it, and they will also probably file a whole bankload of complaints along with it. After they have moved out of state, they will probably file a litany of complaints after hearing this message. And hopefully it will be a matter of me getting a whole bunch of people on board to make sure that this crime will be taken to court, and those people that were responsible will be prosecuted and in front of a grand jury and indicted and put into prison for this type of crime. And this is a scope of crime of fraud and ripping off the general public and driving people out of areas, which is also called fraud and embezzlement and unfair practices that has also led to high rents, which are considered undeemable, and also problems with Section 8, which is very, very serious situations. Yes, but I'm also going to bat for the people that have been ripped off, lied to, cheated, and swindled from housing or from their own area and being driven out of their areas by high housing costs and so forth. And it is not a funny, laughing matter anymore. It is something that needs to be reported, and it needs to be given a firm refresher course so that people are not doing this crap anymore. And so that we can have a wholesome community and people that are not living based on greed and not having vacant homes that are just sitting, lying vacant while everybody else is homeless or on the verge of being homeless or being put on the or being thrown under the rail by this. And I was lucky to be able to live in a house, but the house itself was being put up for sale because of this funny housing market or this goofy housing market and stuff like that. And what we need to do is we need to take into account and start contacting our local court and our local governments to see to it that the rents are lowered and that these greedy investors are put in the slammer for the next 40 or 50 years to life in the slammer and prison for this, because this is considered fraud, and it's really a really bad crime, and it's also called property fraud. And I'm sorry, but I generally state the facts on this. Property fraud. Plain and simple.